in a very deep conversation would be very interesting to my viewers. Stay tuned because I'm monitoring old Licky Boy. And Ricky wants to play yay. Ricky wants to play yay. Well, guess what? I can play yay too, Ricky, and tell the world what I heard you tell me. And too bad it wasn't on camera that time because I was actually uploading that very video at the time that I recorded you in the store. Be careful, Ricky. Be very careful how you tread. Know what I'm saying, Ricky? I think you should, because the audience would love to know what you told me about yourself. I think they would love to know. Oh, yeah.
How the hell did this happen to me?
Well, we have a treat for you this morning here. A little knowledge. Let's see. Hello, Anthony. I know the secret of longevity. Stay out of prison. Well, yeah. Good morning, Parabola. I was having a cigarette. And it seems quite contradictory as to what the topic matter is, but I want to tell you the secret of my success of being alive at 70 going 71. Yeah. Well, that too. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for this? All right. Now, this is not everything. These are key things. Key things. I wanted to keep key things in here, okay? They don't have a heart attack. Okay, let's go over this. Yipes. Yipes, 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 yipes. That's one of them. That's one of them. Let me talk a little about this. I can't give information as to all of these, exactly what it does, but it really goes down to a cellular level with a lot of these things. Okay, we got niacin. Some people get a flush from this. I don't get a flush from this. This is a prolonged release. I don't take this every day. 250 milligrams. You don't want to take a lot of that. And that'll even help you boys have a little bit of ED problems because it works with the nitric oxide in your body. But it does more than that. Now, of course, extra virgin olive oil. How do you know you got a good one? Take a sip of the sucker, and if it kind of burns your throat, then you got a good quality. This is put out by Kirkland. This is organic extra virgin oil. And you'll know, number one, the container. It's not clear white, it's green, or it could be brown, because you don't want the light sensitivity. It fucks up it. What's good about olive oil? Well, there's so many things good about olive oil, if you want to pertain to the Mediterranean diet and so far, which is proven to be one of the better diets. But olive oil could actually, if you take it a half a teaspoon a day, it can make the difference of maybe a 20-30% if you're having a heart attack. Generally, I take it before I go to bed because most heart attacks happen between 10 p.m. and about 6 a.m. in the morning. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. I swear you're spunk. I know it's a lot of spunky Italians. We went over to niacin. Now, of course, turmeric. Now, this is the thing that I add to my green tea, all right? And I put a little black pepper on it because it synergizes this. This is like a derivative of like a curcumin, okay? This is a form of turmeric. I have this every single day. Now, why do I take that? Well, because your inflammatory system, actually, it handles inflammatory things in your body. And it's the inflammatory in your body that causes all the problems with your organs. This is amazing stuff. Now, vitamin E in small doses, though, I take 180 milligrams. In large doses, it's not actually good, or for your lungs, really. But E is very essential, okay? This is very essential. It does support the immune system. It's an antioxidant. It helps cells, heart muscles, important. Now, this one here tends to run sometimes a little bit high on the pocket. CoQ10 is for the heart and supports energy. This is something you should take all the time. You just have to do the research on that. And of course, fish oil. I prefer the salmon, I just don't happen to have it. But you want to get the omega-3 in you. Brain function, joint health, helps with circulatory system. It's just an amazing thing to get your omega-3 in you, not the omega-6. Now this, my friends, resveratrol, it is a powerful antioxidant for your heart and does help support healthy aging. This stuff here, yeah, it can cost you a bit. It can cost you a bit. Now, of course, the D3 and K2, okay, that is important for lots of reasons. And God, you're going to have to read on this one. Oh my gosh. It's it helps with calcium absorption. There's so many things this sucker does. Of course, the old standby is vitamin C. I take it with the rose hips. It has a bioflavonoid complex. This, you just take 1,000 a day, or you can take 500. If you smoke, you might want to take more. But I can't say enough about that. Nattokinase, it's actually from a plant-based type of bean that's fermented. And this is for the circulatory health. This helps prevent artery clogging, could actually contribute to loosening up the crap. Now, of course, my green tea every single day that I'm so famous for. And there's a reason I take it. There's so many functions. It's an antioxidant, but It does so much more. Even from your mouth, it can actually kill certain bacteria and certain before it even enters your body. This sucker here can actually help you lose weight over time too, but in a slow way. Don't take it as a diet medicine because it could take a year to lose a few pounds, but this here is so essential, and there's so many things that green tea does for you. And this is not all I take. Now, the other stuff I have in there, there's other antioxidants, alpha lipoic acid, which these other things I don't take every day. I do not take every day. These are some of my, what I call essentials to keeping my lily white ass alive. Can't say more about the virgin olive oil, but I could. I don't take niacin every day, though. I don't. Every other day or so, I might take a little niacin. But these particular things, the CoQ10, heart, any heart problems at all, your circulation, it has so much to do to help your heart and your energy production. Resveratrol, I've been a believer in that for decades. It is a powerful antioxidant for your heart health support. I can't say enough about it. Whew. Okay, well, I'm waiting for my tea to cool off. I just bought a 2-liter bottle of Kirkland yesterday, like the single source of it. Okay. Well, I try to. You know, everybody wants to hear about the drama and all this shit on here. That gets kind of played out. I thought I was watching, what was it? The replays, Frank Battaglia replays. Boy, such interesting, interesting dialogue in there. What I say on that channel is, tell me how you really feel. It was fun reading a lot of the comments, which of course I've added my own. Yeah. Now the no.pivnic that I talk about here. Yeah. One of the key things that if you really want to, and I have to do that yet, if you really want to get an idea, by the way, I want to bust the myth about cholesterol too. Your main concern, you're worried about the LDLs and all that stuff. There is a key element in there that you should be worried about with your cholesterol. We'll get to that. But you need cholesterol. And every time you hear somebody saying, you know, unless your cholesterol levels are through the roof, you should not have a problem at all. And say your cholesterol level is 200 and above, you know, unless it's so extremely above that point, then maybe you'll be concerned. But there's no problem with having an overall cholesterol level of 200 and even above, even 300. Don't listen to everything you hear on there. There's been a lot of controversy on that, but I think, you know, your body manufactures actually cholesterol, the liver actually, I believe, and you need the cholesterol for your brain and a lot of other things too. So, you know, the overall, you know, and everybody's so concerned about it. But I don't think you should be overly concerned unless you really have some heart problems and so forth. Now, the one test that you should get, I would recommend to you, is getting an ultrasound of your carotid artery. And that basically is going to tell you about your longevity in regards to heart, you know, whether a stroke or a heart attack or something. Because they can actually measure the levels of arterial clogging in there. And there's a difference between the hard substance and the more liquidious, you know, substance. The one you're more concerned with is not the more solid, but it's actually more of the more liquid buildup in there, which is going to tell a big story. And that's when you're going to have to definitely start changing things up. But that is like the ultimate test, really, of, you know, arterial clogging and so forth. Now, as you age, you're going to get certainly in your arteries, there's going to be some buildup It goes with aging and time, but you have to control that. And I have no problem with you eating meat, and no problem. Just cut the fat off. Cut the fat off if you're really concerned. Don't overly do. If you're going to have a steak or something, have a small portion. Get the taste of that steak that you want. But you see people sitting down for dinner, they have this big old 16-ounce piece of steak. No, that's wrong. You don't need that. I wouldn't recommend that. And I would also recommend when you eat meat to eat it with warm water. It helps with the absorption and so forth and so on. Now, contrary to popular belief, some people want to take aspirin, a baby aspirin, as a daily regimen to prevent heart attack. I don't really suggest that unless you really do have some heart problems. Because the one thing bad about aspirin is a thinner is that it can cause internal bleeding and all kinds of crazy crap. And you have to take it all the time once you start doing that. Now, it's not a bad idea to carry some, even if it's a baby aspirin, or just take an adult 325 milligrams if you want to carry it around with you in your wallet or something. Because if you did have an episode, it could be the difference between saving your life or not. Okay, so the one thing I used to worry about with the no.pivnic here, which is an amazing thing. Remember, it's made out of a fermented bean, and Chinese have been using this forever. Them Chinese, I love them Chinese. And these are veggie caps anyway. And I do take one of these a day, and it does support circulatory health because it actually helps break down some of that clogging in your arteries. Now, other things you take, like the D3 and K2, it doesn't get rid of the arterial plaque, but what it does, besides so many other things it does, being able to get the absorption of calcium to your bones where they belong and so forth. It's the sunshine, basically, never mind vitamin C. This is really the sunshine vitamin, the D3. Some people don't get enough. But what this does is acts as more as a retardant, a preventative for arteria to not allow the increase in arterial clogging, okay? Yeah. Oh, I'm not even thinking about breakfast yet. Frank, I recommend taking creatine and protein powder. Well, I also take, which is not up here, I do take collagen. It's not up on this list. These are critical. The ones I'm showing you here are critical items. There might be one more on here I can include as a critical item, but for now we're just showing this. Yeah. Creatine, yeah. Powder. I've used Abilene brand for 2 years. I buy it on. Yeah, well, the other thing too is, that's why I said collagen for your muscles, and I don't take creatine. But, if you're working out and stuff like that, there's certain things you could take too. But the collagen does help you with that. Do you know that all y'all out there are all a bunch of addicts? Did you know that? Well, I have tea. I don't drink coffee. And I always see everything has to do with coffee. Meetings, people meeting together socially. They go for that cup of coffee. People are such coffee addicts. I'd rather this be an alternative, really. There's a lot of healthy reasons to take what you're seeing right here. But they do songs about it. Wake up in the morning, put on my makeup, and have my coffee. Coffee. The world runs on coffee. Before they go to work, they got to get coffee for that caffeine surge. Oh boy, it's one of the biggest addictive chemicals out there. Never mind anything else. The caffeine from coffee. People can't get their day started unless they have their cup of coffee. Me, I choose green tea for other reasons. Now, taking all this lovely stuff, I'll always say it. There is no guarantees in life, but the purpose. There's a purpose to this. Okay? There's a purpose to this. It's called an insurance policy. Okay, that at least gives you some kind of insurance, although not 100% guaranteed, that you're getting the right things in your body, that certain things you can't get enough of from your diet alone. And as you get older, and by the way, the one thing I did not include in here is B3, B6, and B12. You could take a combo. That's really important too for your body energy and everything on a cellular level. As you get older, especially, you don't get enough B12. You can get some of this stuff from meats and other sources, but I do have some B vitamins, but only a few left. I didn't put them up here. But what you're seeing, I'm showing you, is the key elements. Do I take this every day? No, I don't take the niacin every day, every other day or so. But everything you see here right now, what you see right here, is guaranteed that I take every single day. Every single day. I have to warn you about olive oil. Oh, and yes, excuse me. As I said, I don't have, and I should have it up here, and I'm going to put it up here. The one thing I do take also is magnesium citrate. And where is it? I think I have it in the other room. There's a lot of things I take I don't have up here, but there's other things like alpha lipoic acid. But the collagen should be on here on the table. Okay, but it's not. But let's just. There's other things too for lycopene. Okay, it is again a free radical scavenger. So I'm gonna put this up on a table. I'm gonna put this up on a table. I think I should. I think I should. By the way, anybody interested, I've been given so many of this stuff. Prostate control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the girl just told me she has Morph 6 that her husband had ordered. Even after his death, he had this order coming in. Now, L-citrulline, the unspoken hero, if you guys are worried about ED or anything like that, or anything circulation, your nitric oxide, L-citrulline could help, okay? But this is not a critical thing that I put on there. Okay, this is magnesium, just straight off. I don't generally take that. I think it's in the other room. It's magnesium citrate. I do take that. I will also take a handful of nuts. In this case, it happens to be cashew for some protein every day, every single day, every single day. Having it right now. So what I just showed you on the table, I think is critical. Now, along with this, of course, the best advice I could give you is, of course, to eat a healthy diet. Now, they say, okay, Frank, come on, you don't need all this shit. I beg to differ, because everybody's system is different than other people. Some of us have more needs for something else that we're not getting in our foods. And noticing, how much junk food the average population eats every day. If you knew it was in a McDonald's hamburger, oh my God. I saw a video where they took you have hydrochloric acid in your stomach, right? And that's what breaks down the foods. Okay, so they did a experiment. I'm not kidding. This is not bullshit, just to make conversation or dialogue here. They took a jar of hydrochloric acid and they put a McDonald's hamburger in it with the bread, the whole thing. And they let it sit there for a while, a few days or so. My God, if you would have seen what that looked like when the hydrochloric acid was breaking that down, it was a bunch of black, yucky, gooey gunk that was hanging off the McDonald's hamburger. Only wish I was kidding you on that. They put shit in that hamburger. I read it, but I just wish I could remember what was in there. But you probably don't want to know It is disgusting what we are eating. And I do eat McDonald's every blue moon if I'm on the road or something and there's no restaurants open or something. You want to have something to go for the road. But thank goodness for small miracles that I do not partake in eating fast food of that nature. I don't eat potato chips. Every single thing in your counter that you think is healthy for you turns out it's not. So what do? Eat grass? You might as well, but you can't. We're not built to eat grass or our teeth or digestion. We're not cows. But the additives and preservatives, well, it's hard to get away from that. I admit that I will buy frozen foods that will have additives to it, but I'm not perfect. But I try, and as I said, you see all this shit here. It's not shit, actually. Everything has a rhyme and reason and a purpose, so take a good gander, write it down if you have to. Resveratrol, as far as longevity, there is a science on this. There's a science on this. Put it this way. Resveratrol is basically, see how it's enhanced with black pepper? Black pepper seems to be something like it gives a synergistic punch to things. That's why I add black pepper to my turmeric in here. Okay. Now, resveratrol, grapes, wine. Red wine is actually healthy to drink, but guess what? Let me show you something. This one little pill, resveratrol, this happens to be 3,000 milligrams. Okay. This is equal to like a couple of hundred glasses of red wine. One pill. You know the benefits you get out of red wine? Just one pill. Concentrated. One pill. One pill. One pill. This is why I do this shit. Because the average person don't give a squiddly diddly about what they put in their body. That includes cigarette smoking. That includes alcohol. And man, I talk about alcohol and you guys wonder why I'm so against alcohol. Well, it's not that I'm against alcohol itself. It's the people who drink it and how they act stupid. But that's just one element. But alcohol does not belong to your body, neither does cigarette smoke, of course. But alcohol, one glass, one fucking glass. And what it does to your liver and other organs, you would not even believe it if I told you. You have to look it up. So people who drink on a regular basis, they are just totally destroying their body, their liver, kidneys, everything. Yeah. Some people say, well, I'm a beer drinker. It has hops in it. It has some good stuff. Brewer's yeast, whatever you might find in there. Yeah, to a certain degree, but there's still alcohol. Alcohol don't belong in your body. Okay? Well, Saul Palmetto, look, dude. Yeah. Certain things help to a degree, but look what I got here, my friends. This was given to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she's got another how many bottles coming into me, which I'm going to graciously give away because I can't possibly, I barely even take this. Oh, the other thing that I didn't mention either is, I'm sorry, I don't have everything here. I don't have everything here, is zinc. Okay, I'd recommend only 25 milligrams, not 50. Zinc, and that is for your prostate and other functions too. Zinc, that should have been on the table, but because it's not really a major daily requirement, I did not include that. Okay? The collagen, well, yeah, it's not one I'm going to put on the table, although it's something I will take. It's great for your skin, aging, or muscle build-up. It's essential in a lot of ways. It really is. I do take glucosamine. I do try to take that every day. but it's not one of my essentials on here. This is a. It has a glucosamine, 300 milligrams, chondroitin sulfate 240, and MSM complete. The three elements you need for joint health. There's even another one here for prostate complex. Herbal Prostate by Swanson. Swanson's a fairly good company. Oh, there's another one here. Look, another one here. I will be giving this away to some locals here. There's a lot of things I have here. Ginkgo biloba, okay, which might be good to take as I don't have any more B6 and B12 and folic acid. So I will say that although this deserves to be on the table, I'm not going to put it on the table because another one here. Look at another bottle I just found of that. Look at that. Ain't that amazing? The ginkgo, yeah, that should be on the table, but I'm not putting it on the table. You can get your B vitamins from other sources, but as I said, as you get older, you have to take more like, what is it, B3, B6, and B12. The B12 for energy and all the cell energy and all that stuff. There you go. Now, how do I learn all this stuff? You gotta understand, I've been doing, sorry if I don't answer your comments for a second. I'm in the sunlight. If I, you know, oh, where was I? So how about ginkgo from memory? There you go. There you go. There you go. You know, I'll always say there's no guarantee in life you can get hit by a trike or something. You know what I mean? Or you could develop some kind of a parasite or something, or tuberculosis or something. But all I'm really saying is, I don't mean that everybody has to go out and do what I do. But whatever I've been doing through the years has been tried and true. I could tell you that. I mean, I'm still alive. I'm going on 71 at the end of next month, and that's pretty good. Pretty good. It's not, a lot of people die a lot younger than that. And all I'm saying is that there are certain things, like stay out of trouble. Okay, a lot of things you could do for yourself that's going to really help. And that's really up to you. If you're going to be like drinking Coca-Cola every day, and I'd like to do a demonstration of something in a minute. I will get around to it. I want to show you how many teaspoons of sugar in, for example, 1 can of Coca-Cola. And I'm going to find something to use as a substitute for sugar and show you what you're drinking. If you're a Coca-Cola freakazoid, I'm going to show you. And you wonder why you got diabetes? I've been very fortunate. I am not diabetic. I'm not hypertensive. Nothing like that. I'm sure I do have an element of fatty liver. We do develop that. I know I've had it. It's not good, but it's not terrible according to how fatty and much fatty liver. If you're really overweight, then you absolutely have a fatty liver. You can't fuck around with your liver, man. You just can't. You can't. You can't. So for those drinkers out there, sworn drinkers, all you expats who like to gather at the watering hole all the time, you have no effing clue what you're doing to yourself. I cannot emphasize this more. If you have a history of drinking, and it doesn't mean that you gotta get drunk every day and you're drinking enough to get drunk. Just putting alcohol in your system is a slow death to your liver and his other functions too. It's a slow death to your liver. Now, according to how much you drink, it could be a fast death. There's cirrhosis involved. A liver can be, believe it or not, you can cut off part of the liver. It could grow back a little bit. It's amazing. It's an amazing organ. It's an amazing organ. But sometimes your liver can be so damaged that there's no help at all. There's nothing going to save that liver whatsoever. Okay. Yeah, memory loss. Well, ginkgo is good for that. There's a lot of different things you could take for that. That unfortunately happens to a lot of us. I mean, my memory, and it's according to, it's actually according to what prescription medicines that you're taking, And certain prescription medicines could definitely deal with your certain, short-term memory. Oh, absolutely. But there are different supplements and certain foods in your diet that can really help with that. And you've come a long way with science and so forth, but that is a big concern. As you grow older, a lot of us do kind of suffer with, a memory loss of some sort. You forget where you put your keys or something, or, you go around looking for your sunglasses and the whole time you had it hanging on your head. I've certainly done that. Okay, I've certainly done that. Now let me see what I have here to demonstrate something to you. Where is I was just going to use if I could find it, the baking soda. And where is the baking soda? Let me find that. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to show you something here. Might freak you out, but let's see. Doing a demonstration on vitamins. Let me find my baking soda. Is there enough in here to do this test? I don't know if there is, but we're going to use it. We're going to use what I got here. And then we're going to talk about makeup. What is this thing with makeup that women have to? It's a double topic today, but mostly on this. I'm going to show you something here. Okay, give me a segundo. Okay, I'm going to show you something here. You think I'm kidding, right? I'm going to show you something. I don't know if I have that much in here to show you. Wake up in the morning, have my cup of coffee, and okay, let's get this demonstration going. An ant in my baking soda. That makes sense. God, where's it not ants? Please tell me. All right. I'm going to show you something here. Let's talk about maybe a 16-ounce can of Coca-Cola. All right, let's just say, because I don't have that much. I got an ant in there, though. Yeah. Get out of here. Scram. Let's make believe, I'm not going to do full teaspoons, but let's just say this is a full teaspoon of sugar. This is sugar. I want to show you what's in a can. 1. Make believe it's a full thing because I don't have enough. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. Take a look. 1 can of Coca-Cola. 1 can. Let's make believe this is sugar. 1 can of Coca-Cola is equal to about 7 teaspoons of sugar. How you liking it so far? Here, pour it all in. Maybe you had more than that. Imagine if you drink Coke every day, not just 1 can. Look what you're looking at. Take a good look. Not to mention sugar that you might add to your coffee, and add to that any products you're having that has sugar in it. Oh yeah. And not to mention, drinking fruit juice that you think is so healthy for you, but unfortunately, it's just chock loaded of, guess what? High fructose corn syrup, sugar. And by the way, this is not all you're having. As I said, this is just from 1 can. Well, there's a little more than that in here. I added more. Let's say 2 cans. Let's be generous with you here. 2 cans. You have 2 cans of Coke. How about if you have a 2-liter bottle? Then you're going to need a lot more than this. And that's just from your Coca-Cola diet. Is that not insane? Is that not insane? It's insane. And you wonder why you're pre-diabetic or you wonder why you're diabetic. Well, that's why. Hello, wake up. Not to mention the sugar you put in your coffee. And if you're going to have a latte, all the sugar in there from your latte. Might have an ice cream here and there during the day. How much sugar is in that? And you think fruit juices are so healthy. Do you know how much sugar is in there? You're better to just take your fruit, and get the natural juice from the fruit. Now, by the way, fruit also contains sugars, but in a more dietary form, it's a lot better for you than taking it in liquid form with the high fructose corn syrup and everything else in there. What you're seeing here is not all the sugar that some people put in their body every single day. Take a look at this. Of course, this is not sugar because I don't have any here. I don't have it. This is just baking powder, baking soda. And what does this mean? It just means that your punk-ass body, and let's see the result. Okay, let's go to the sink here. This is what it's doing to your body. I use this as a drain cleaner with the baking soda, but there you go. Imagine it's old Coca-Cola. It could take paint off a car. If it's going to take paint off a car, it's like, hello, what is it doing also to your gut? What is it doing to your gut? Take a wild guess. Pick a card, any card. There you go. Learning from this Popeye? I'm only here to help, you know that. Part of me, will I put this shit away for a second. I gotta put these vitamins away. Actually, I'm gonna keep them out because I have to take one as soon as I get some solid in my body. Yeah, I pretty much take most of what you see here as a definite daily thing. As I said, the niacin, not every day. Olive oil, yes, the turmeric in my tea. Small doses of vitamin E, which is antioxidant, not large doses. There's a reason for that. High absorption CoQ10, your heart and circulatory system. Fish oil, absolutely. You got to get that omega-3 in there. The resveratrol, most definitely. Okay, the D3 and K2 every single day. Every single day. The vitamin C, yes. Okay, that's a definite. Okay, so there you go. Well, I try to take a sip of my green tea with the turmeric in it and so forth. I even added honey. Even you get creative with it. I even added a touch of cinnamon to that. Okay, here's the whole idea behind all this. You know, there's always a method behind my madness. Whether you smoke or whether you don't, or other things, you are exposed to your environment every day, especially living in the Philippines, of all places. The pollution out here is absolutely horrible, especially if you live in a city. You have what's called free radicals, like radical YouTubers, You have free radicals running around your body. Oh, they're playing tennis, volleyball, they're just having a gay old time. We have nothing, not that there's anything wrong with being gay, quote Seinfeld, but they're having a gay old time in your body. And this is what destroys your organs. Okay? So we need something to boost our immune system to attack, like YouTubers do with each other. You could relate to that. Attack these free radicals that are running around your body. That's the purpose. Can you overdo it? Yes, you can overdo it with the antioxidants, but you gotta know what you're doing, because you are dealing with what kills you. By the way, gut health. Oh, there's one thing in here that should be on the table. I can't do everything at once. I do recommend taking some good probiotics, because death begins in the colon, as they say, but actually it's your gut having healthy bacteria that is going to keep you alive, because everything happens in the gut. Whether you know it or not, you talk about dopamine and all the good brain stuff that our brain needs, or is made up of that feel-good medicine, GABA, dopamine, all that stuff. Well, it's not manufactured in the brain. This is coming from your gut, not your brain. From your gut. You got to have good gut health. So I try to get, especially if you take antibiotics, they're terrible. They can save your life. Fazio didn't do enough to save his, didn't take the proper antibiotics, didn't listen to me. Now he's dead. Oh well. Shit happens when you don't listen and you don't do and you're not proactive. Gut health. Gut health. A healthy gut is a healthy body. And you need to do some probiotics here and there. Now, the thing about antibiotics, they're life-saving things. They are. We should be grateful that we have them. I've taken many antibiotics in my life. Sometimes reluctant, because the doctor will tell you, well, I'm not sure if it's viral or bacterial, but you understand that antibiotics don't work on viral matters. Okay. But they're going to tell you, well, let's see, how old are you now, sir? I would probably say that you should, and I haven't determined whether this is viral or bacterial. By the color of your sputum, I could say it's this or that, but that doesn't answer the question either, because the color of your sputum does not necessarily give you the actual information whether it's viral or bacterial. Not necessarily. So they're going to say, well, you don't want any complications. You don't want to get pneumonia. You don't want to get blah, blah, blah. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, son. We're going to put you on a regimen of these antibiotics. Means anti-life. Anti means against. Bio means life. Anti-life. And what antibiotics do, they go after even the good boys in there, the good bacteria, which can leave you vulnerable to other illnesses. But if you need to take the antibiotics, you definitely take them. As a doctor said, what is the worst of the two evils, Mr. B? Though he was wrong, and that was something else, but had to do with Prilosec. But they're not always right. You can challenge your doctors anytime. They're not nutritionists. They don't know a hell of a lot about a lot of shit. Western-trained doctors think like Western-trained doctors. And they may have you take things that you shouldn't be taking or don't need to take, but then it's to support Big Pharma and to line their pockets. Duh. We haven't figured that out yet. Okay. So, there you go on that. Antibiotics. It could take up to 6 months to get, let's just call it affectionately, the flora and fauna of your gut to return back to normal with all your good bacteria that you need. It could take as long as 6 months. That's why I don't advocate antibiotics unless you really need to take it. And a lot of doctors want to cover their ass and say, well, you're a senior now, and, this could be an infection or it could be viral. I can't really tell you, son. I'll tell you what, as an insurance policy, why don't we just, for the halibut, as the Norwegian doctor said, take it for the halibut, and just in case, that's an insurance policy. But what if it was viral and not bacterial? Well, you just challenged your goddamn immune system for nothing. And you got up to maybe 6 months where your immune system is going to be a little bit more challenged because of the antibiotics. Get my point? Okay. Yeah, you're worried about memory loss. That's the high story. Yeah, it should be. Well, if your memory starts getting really bad, then you're concerned, you know. There's ways you can approach that, but modern science here, through chemistry. Or do some word-solving puzzles or something, which I don't think any of us does, really, and I certainly don't do it. Hold on here. Wake up in the morning, putting my makeup on, having my cup of coffee. I think that was from Big E's video. He was trailing behind, photographing this lady boy. Remember that one? She had the small jeans on and the blonde kind of gnarly hair and stuff, and he's like following her behind. I think he used that song, Wake Up in the Morning. Now, speaking of lady boys, okay. All right. Look. Let's talk about makeup. Totally different subject, but while I'm gathering my pills here, I gotta have something really good, solid to take with this. I don't take all this on an empty stomach. Got my fish oil going. I'm just taking this shit all out of the bottles. Gotta go my CoQ10. Okay, makeup. I never liked women who, I mean, they could be great people. They could be great people, don't get me wrong. But kind of overdoing makeup, you know, overdoing makeup. I gotta put this shit back in the, I gotta put this shit back. Let me put this shit back in the pantry here. Yeah. Okay. Well, I got some of them back in there, but you see, it's starting to gather, but I'm not going to have this on an empty stomach. No. I don't think I have any more cereal left, or do I? I did. I buy some cereal, but... And the other thing is, too, yes, it's the fiber from the cereal. Oh, that, yeah, I'm going to have a bowl of that in a minute. Now, this ain't the greatest thing in the world, but it does have some fiber and stuff in there. But it has some other shit, too, which is not, you know, the holy grail of what you want to eat for breakfast. And it really isn't, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, it's really not. But I'll have oatmeal. There's nothing wrong with having oatmeal every day. There's been some controversy about oatmeal. There's always controversy about something. But, you know, you could do a lot worse than, you know, eating oatmeal for the fiber and other stuff it has in there. You could do a lot worse, like, you know, have fucking 6 eggs with half a pound of bacon and toast with butter and all. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with butter. Don't worry about the cholesterol in butter. Just get the unsalted type. If you have like high blood pressure or something like that, get the unsalted type. Okay. All right, so where was I? Wake up in the morning, put in my makeup. All right, the whole idea about makeup. Women seem to think that they need to put makeup on in the morning. They can't get up in the morning without having their coffee, and they won't leave the house without makeup. And I'm thinking, why? You know, appreciate what Mother Nature gave you. Unless you have some really bad skin conditions that you want to cover it up with makeup, I understand that, you know, scarring or really bad dark spots that really show out. But I think women just really go out of their way with this makeup. And makeup has been used for centuries, actually. But unfortunately, in the past, what was in that makeup was anywhere from having lead to arsenic in it. And people were dying unknowingly why they were dying from makeup. Queen Elizabeth, back in the past, you know, she would have a ton of makeup on her face. I mean, a ton of makeup. And one of these British queens actually died as a result of actually, so it was correlated to that one way or the other. Okay. Makeup. I mean, you got the fake eyelashes or extenders. You got the makeup base. You got the makeup. You got lipstick. You know, you got, okay, eyeliner, yeah. And go down the list. They look like a China doll. Nothing against Chinese. I love the Chinese. Remember that. I love Chinese. I love Chinese women. Remember that. What is the purpose? What is the purpose? I don't know, Jerry. I don't like women with a lot of makeup. It's like, what are you trying to hide? There's nothing better than that. I got to give Pam Anderson some credit. Pamela Anderson. She's one of them, actually. And, of course, you know Pamela Anderson from Baywatch and all the controversy with her rock and roll boyfriend doing nude tapes and accidentally sneaking on the internet. Yeah, okay. Well, it's like this. She decided to be natural. She's not afraid of her aging. She doesn't make up herself. And when you see her on some, I don't know, they're always standing in front of some, I see this Hollywood Review, I don't know, some awards. All the stars are standing in front of some kind of a billboard in the background with names on it of sponsors or something, or I don't know. It's just to show, hey, I'm famous, you know. But what a lot of some of the most seemingly attractive musical artists, actresses, and so forth, if you've seen them in the morning when they first got up, it'd be like a fright fest. Because makeup actually does something to your skin that you're going to have to wear it because it really fucks up your skin. And you're going to need to wear that makeup. But if you are naturally beautiful, you don't need makeup. Everybody wants to look like a porcelain doll for some reason. I don't know why. Ask Papa. He probably uses makeup. He might know better than I do, but what the fuck is the purpose? If you can't be natural, then the women getting breast augmentation. What the fuck? Then they have complications with that, and they wonder why. They got to get the breast that they just augmented, whatever, taken off again. They go as far as to inject themselves with oils, and they fuck themselves up. Then there's the lips. Everybody wants to look like Angelina Jolie. Now, my understanding is that is her natural lips. And it works for her, but just like every trend out there, Marilyn Monroe was blonde. All the women wanted to be blonde. When smoking came in the past, big time in the 50s, glamorous people smoked, so everybody else had to smoke to look glamorous. Look where that led them. Dye your hair, you know, Farrah Fawcett with her special hairstyle. I remember all the women wanted to be Farrah Fawcett. Why can't you just be yourself? That's the question I ask. Why? The only thing that I do is just that I don't think I would really look good all gray. I do use Just for Men. That's the only thing I do. And it basically hides some of the gray, but not all of it, though. I like to show a little gray, and I do. You know, I don't want to be any older than I am, but fortunately for me, I'm not all grayed out. There's still all my natural color in there that oversees the gray. But nevertheless, it's a choice I make on that, but I'm not putting makeup on my face to hide any blemishes or eye sagging or any shit like that. It's who I am. Some things come with aging, some don't. Like you saw a short there on Paul in the Philippines. Big dog. He went to have some procedure done a while back, and as such, he wanted to have cataract surgery. Started with one eye, then the other, but then he had other problems, and his eye bags were caused by these different factors would cause that, but they had to address that. But he's ever since, and this has been a long time ago, still having to wear sunglasses. Because somehow they just fucked up in their operation. They did something, I don't know what. You still see him wearing sunglasses now. And it just seems I think they did a botched job on this. I just think they did. So look at my video, my short to have on before this live stream. and he's showing you what happened to his eyes. Sometimes, you can't fuck with Mother Nature, and certain things are best left alone. I used to think, growing up, I hate this Italian nose of mine. You know what? There's nothing wrong with this Roman nose of mine. Nothing wrong at all. It's my character. My schnoz is not that big that I have to be concerned about it. And it's my character. And coming from an Italian ancestry, that's pretty common. Now, Filipinos, they love Europeans like myself, ancestry, because Filipino noses don't tend to be very large. They're more like flat and not as pronounced. And they get attracted to this stuff. So that could be an attraction factor, having a bigger nose. Imagine that. And all the time you're saying, I don't like the size of my nose. So they get rhinoplasty. There's people out there that are doing the strangest things to their bodies. Totally morphing their bodies. Changing the contours of their face, their eyes, the shape of it. There are Asians that are getting operations to have their eyes look, less Asian, put it that way. Skin lighteners, they all want to be white. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. Why can't people appreciate what they have? There's nothing wrong with the color of the skin of Filipinos. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. But Western society has taken a big influence on Asian culture. Now, if you look at the Koreans, wow. You want to talk about light skin. You go blind if you're an Air Korean. I thought I had white skin. It's amazing. It has to do with climate too, how much sun people are getting. It goes to genetics. There's a reason. I took some courses in relationship to this stuff, anthropology. And it's really interesting what I learned and why people's eyes are shaped different, why people are shorter than others, why people have a tanner skin than others. And a lot of it has to do with the environment and the evolution through the years that has adjusted your body for certain features that help. It's amazing. Some tribes, you see them, they're extremely tall, and some of them are extremely small. It has to do a lot of things, how much sunlight. It's really interesting if you want to study a little bit of anthropology. It doesn't hurt to look it up. On what gives people their features and why. Reading is good. You don't have to open up a book. Just go on Google. That's what I do. I'm just lazy. There's a wealth of information if you're there to get this wealth of information. Like I got my sweetie here. Hers this natural beauty. She doesn't wear makeup all the time. Well, there's something with the eyes. She don't do very. You're not on camera anymore. She's not wearing any makeup, and she looks wonderful. It's just wonderful. She doesn't wear makeup. Very rare. And when you do, what do you really put on? You don't put much on, do you? You just what? Eyeliner or something like that?
No, I don't. Just lipstick.
Lipstick, that's all. Oh, and let's talk about that too. Lipstick. Oh. Well, I did talk about that once on my show because I'm such a wealth of information. Why do women, well, mostly the women who actually wear
Lipstick.
a real bright ruby red lipstick that could show from here to 3 blocks away. There's a reason for that. And you might not buy this reason, but you don't understand. Well, there's anthropology, there's biology involved here, and things that you're not even aware of. And let's tell you why do women like to have these standout lips, and they paint their lips like a circus clown. Why, you ask with anticipation? Because women's lips that don't fall down on the ground are an extension of their vagina. Oh my God. I know you never figured that out, did you? Sometimes they don't even know why they're putting it on. It's instinctive. It's instinctive. Yes, you heard right. Women's lips are an extension of their vagina. And they may not know they're doing this. They put this makeup on. All right, they put the heavy lipstick on. Heavy lipstick. Because it's an attractive factor. It's an attraction factor is what it is. Okay? There's a lot of little signs too. I'm going to give you another one. Live and learn, watch my show. It's not all about Barry. Thank God that's over. But there's a reason. And lips are a phallic symbol too. And a lot of Caucasian women, and it really started with Angelina Jolie, really. Hers was natural, though. That big lips has to do with something oral. Just use your imagination, okay? Okay, why are men attractive to a woman's ass? Let's get down to basics, and maybe Popeye will learn something from this, or somebody will. Natural instinct. Missionary sex is not the norm. No, it's not. Most people are backdoor men, and there's a reason for that. A woman's ass, especially if she's got a nice one, shows out to a man, and they will do everything they can, wear the tightest pants, work on their glutes, to achieve that. There's a reason. Let's go down the line. You've met or seen many women that had tattoos right about their ass line. And they'll wear shirts that are very revealing of their waist to show everybody that, heck, I got a great waist. And they have a tattoo. Of all places, they place it right above their butt. There's a reason for that too. Attraction. It forces men to look at their butt. And sometimes the women are very aware of what they're doing. Some women are not. It's instinctive. Look at some baboons. I don't know, is it the male or female? I don't know. I don't study baboons. Although we got a lot of them on YouTube, but they have multicolored butts. Why? It's to attract the opposite sex. There are birds that go into this magical dance that you wouldn't even believe a bird can do. Their feathers are adorned with all kinds of cosmic psychedelic colors and spots. And they flick their wings and they do this dance on their 2 feet. They spin around. You should almost put it to music to attract the opposite sex. Most people are not aware of anything of this in their life, or what's really going on behind the makeup and everything else. Gotta think out of the box, boys. There's a reason why women wear makeup. Like the animal kingdom, they want to attract the opposite sex. Then they have your baby and they get fat and ugly, and it's all over. Because they figure once they have you and you're emotionally bonded to them, you're not going to mind if they gain weight or whatever they do, or don't wear makeup. Okay? That's where psychology comes in. It's never ending. Come on, thumbs up, boys. You never had a lesson like this in your life. Now that I taught you the basics of life, I'd love to hear Popeye's show after this one. He'll have something to say about it, of course. When does he not? But maybe Popeye actually learned. Oh, he does. He listens. He listens. He'll never take my advice. He's too perfect. Not, but what I say on here is a conglomeration of, the sentence, what is life all about? Why do we do the things that we do? There's always a reason behind it. lot of things you do you're not even aware of. Why does a woman wear perfume or a man wear men's perfume? They want attention. They want to attract the opposite sex. Now, if you haven't been able to figure that out, I don't know what more to tell you. There's a reason and rhyme why women wear sexy clothes. They're either looking for a man or they want to keep their man. There you go. Why do women like to show cleavage? They want to emphasize their breast. Let's get deeper. Why do men love women's breasts? They're just mammary glands to feed a baby. But you want to get technical. But they're more than that. You were likely weaned as a child. And breasts are something that's very important to a man. That's why you suck on your woman's breast sometimes. I'm sure you guys have gotten around to doing that at some point, right? I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking for colostrum? No, not on a conscious level. But it just goes back to being weaned by your mother. There's another factor, too. Women don't walk around naked necessarily. They're hiding their body. And you are not lucky enough to get to see it. Unless you get in a relationship with them. Then she bears all, if you're lucky. Her private parts are not meant to be seen. Unless you get to that stage of your relationship where she's willing to reveal all in its splendor, in its magical splendor. It's what you can't get initially is what really gets your attention. You look at a woman and say, yeah, she's got a nice body. Well, I'd love to see what she looks like naked, right? You all say that. All of you, even me. Well, I'm single, of course, But it all plays down to one thing. It's natural origin. It's instinctual shit. Of course, if there's a woman that you find attractive, and you've never seen a naked body, she had no reason to show you it. But you're going to wonder what she looks like without those clothes on. That would be quite a treat, wouldn't it? Yeah. That's why men are so attracted to a woman's ass, they're attracted to their breast. There's a reason. And there's a reason why women do things to kind of emphasize certain features that they have. Some of them know exactly what they're doing. Some of them, they don't really know on a conscious level, but they do it, not on a conscious level, but they do it anyway. I mean, it's instinctual. So you got a combination of being instinctual and purposeful together even. The lipstick, the phallic symbol. The phallic symbol. It's an oral phallic symbol. Extension of the vagina. That's exactly what it is. Are you shocked with all this information? Damn, what can I do in one show? I showed you what that Coca-Cola is doing to you. I'm giving to you, use this as an alternative to milk, unsweetened almond breeze. We're the only species on Earth that drink the milk of another mammal. Have you ever even thought about that either? I take this shit for a reason. I started putting some of it away. I drink this tea for a reason. I take these supplements for a reason. Yes, there is a method to my madness after all. Because I know what the fuck I'm doing. And why. Who can't use an insurance policy? Who can't? These are not cure-alls you see in front of you. This is not cure-alls for anything. It's just a little bit of an insurance policy to make sure you're getting these things in your body, but you will take more of something than another because we are exposed to free radicals every single day. Every single day. The dust, the pollen, the exhaust fumes. Just walk outside, and you don't have to be a smoker. Which makes I feel like a cigarette. After all this, right, Frank's going to have a cigarette. Well, you're right. I'm not perfect. But this is part of the reason I even do this shit. Why? It really started off, and why don't you just quit smoking, Frank? Wouldn't that be the answer? Yeah, it would. Yeah. Just like telling Popeye, that you're really not an asshole. You do it because it's habitual. There's chemicals involved. And it's really tough. That's why I cut down. At least do that. But one of the reasons I got into this, and this is like, I don't know the exact years. 45 years? I don't know. Because the funny thing was I saw my parents smoking. I saw them not eating healthy. That's what happened. And I started to realize that there's at least certain things I need to do to make sure that I'm taking care of it. I was never into the great diet I have now, which is, I say it's a great diet. It's not perfect, though, however. And, in my past when I was younger, I would be eating the potato chips and the corn chips and the Cheetos dip and all that, Tostitos dip and all that shit. Yeah. I grew up in a family that didn't really give a shit about what they ate. But then again, you could be in an unfortunate situation that you're going to have to eat what's on the table. Like here in the Philippines, where there are a lot of poor families, you either eat what's on the goddamn table or you don't eat at all. So you're forced to eat all that rice with the high carbohydrates in it. You need carbs, by the way, and let's not sink it on the carbs either. But that's a whole totally different show. But, to a certain extent, okay, they break down into sugars and all that, simple sugars and all that. But you do need carbs for energy and all kinds of shit. But we're not going to get into that because I'm going to be ending this show in a few minutes here. You do what you do that's best for you. It's not what's best for somebody else. But if you don't take care of yourself and at least do some good things for your body, in juxtaposition to the bad things you might be doing, drinking, smoking, having sex with women that are diseased or something. I mean, everything you do is going to make a difference. You just do things that can possibly help you on some cellular level, in fact, down to a cellular level. So a lot of things I talked about today, it's a freebie. I don't make money on my show. And most people don't even respect what I have to say. But there are some people that do listen. Shit, I got a woman on there who's married to a man that don't like me at all. But she wanted her YouTuber boyfriend to go out to the store and buy some green tea and turmeric. Imagine that. And blueberries. So I guess I've had an effect on some people. That's all that matters. You could do what you want with your life. Cavort, defame, eat like there's no tomorrow and become obese and diabetic and whatever you want to do. That's your gig. I don't choose to do that. I'm happy to say, I'll give you an example this morning. You can almost see it in the air. Talking about Antioch. Look at the smoke. Can you see that? They're burning shit right across the field. And that's what people do around here. You're breathing that shit in. And you talk about, well, Frank, it's bad that you're smoking. You're absolutely right. It's bad that I'm smoking. Especially in combination with this shit. And that's why I take antioxidants. That's why I try to get rid of these free radicals, at least keep them under control. That's what I do. Because I care enough about my body to at least do that. Do something. Do something that's good for your body. I don't care what it is. Do something that's good. A little bit of exercise. We went on the beach. I don't have to record everything. We don't have to take a trike everywhere. Me and Gilda, the lovely Gilda, by the way, we took a walk from the house and we went downtown. We took the beach because there's more resistance on the soft sand. There's a lot of people out. to go downtown, get the steps in, rather than take a trike. It's little things like that that make a big difference. That's what we do. I'm going to start doing more of that. It's not just going on the treadmill. T-R-E-A-D, by the way, not T-H-E-R-D as the conspirators out there like to say. That I say. Do that too. Do little hand weights. No, they're not 2-pound weights. They're 20-pound weights. And it's adequate. Mick, Biggie, it's adequate. You do more reps. If I had I just don't have the room for it in there. If I had a bench set, I would actually use it. But I don't need to. You compromise. Everything in life is a compromise. You compromise. Having a little bit of muscle tone is really important. Working on your legs is actually really important, and I'm not doing enough of that. And that's where I got to continue with that. Your legs actually hold you up. And it's going to make a difference as you get older, whether you can get out of that chair without pushing off on something or not. So next time you get out of a chair, don't hold on to something. Don't push up on something. Use your legs. How about that? How about that? Okay, that's the end of my show. Your turn, Popeye. Hopefully you learned something from this, but I'm sure you'll find something negative when I say, because that's what you do. And that's why you are built like you are, and you look older than you are, and you will probably die a hell of a lot younger than I will. Well, we'll see. And we have other people out there that are obese. We got a guy that has a couple of muscles, but he's got big-ass fucking titties. Nobody's perfect, man. Nobody's perfect. That claim they are. There's nobody, certainly on YouTube, that's perfect. Obviously not. Say what you want. But the bottom line is, you have your own responsibility to yourself, and nobody else is going to take care of you unless you have a caretaker. And that's a whole nother show, really. But a lot of people who come to this country are generally retired. Correct? Correct. You know, you got considerable years, probably, on a common basis, you know, above and beyond the years that your Filipina is. Now, you already know, in my case, I'm 20 years older than my Filipina, right? And I know as I get older, you know, she's still going to be relatively young. And if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen likely to me because of the age, 2 decades difference. And there's some that have 3, 4, 5 decades different, which is ridiculous, in my opinion. Absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, to each his own. And you're going to have a caretaker. That's what she's going to turn out. Likely. More likely than not. The longer you live, shit's going to happen. Or some people, lucky enough, nothing happens. They can live to be 90. They can still walk on their own, get out of a chair without pushing up. They exercise a little bit. They can do things for themselves. They can wipe their own ass with accuracy. Not everybody can do that as they get age. This is why I do some of these things. I don't want to be dependent on my girlfriend. But if it happened, isn't it great that she's there? A lot of foreigners choose wisely. But they're also thinking economically, too. They're also thinking that if I stayed in America, wherever they're from, and have all these problems, I might wind up in a care center of some sort for the elderly. And all your state money, all your benefits, whatever, Social Security, are going to be taken right off your ass. They don't want to do that. And that's why a lot of people that are getting older, and there's hint that their children are going to put them in an old folks home, we know what they do. They own a house or property, they put it in their children's name. Because they will lose that house. I don't know if you knew that or not. God, I'm such a wealth of information today. You know, I do this all for free. Right, Robert? Maybe you could be more informative in a more positive way. Maybe people respect you a little bit more. Well, they don't respect you at all, but the show's not about you. I know you'd like it to be about you. All right, we're going to hear your monologue now. We'll change the words instead of soliloquy. Let's call it your monologue. Go for it, Robert. Do your best. I did mine today. You could learn from what I had to say or not. But you yourself are responsible for yourself, nobody else. But as you get older, you might find that there's some things that you can't do anymore. That happens, and you're going to need a, quote, caretaker. Well, you know what? My girlfriend is my caretaker, and I'm her caretaker. We're both caretakers of each other. That's what it's for. That's what a good relationship is. And no, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. In some cases with people, it is about the money. More so than not. However, it's also not fair to stereotype all Filipinos that they're all looking for men's money, because that's not true. A lot of desperate ones will go for that. They'll find the hairiest, fattest, ugliest motherfucker with spaces on their teeth and, you know, a really lame personality and sense of humor, bad breath, rotted teeth. They're in for the money, not in for the character. They're in for the money. Those are the few that do that. And they do that. Thank you for listening so intently. That's your lesson for today, and I think I covered quite a bit of ground on here, didn't I?
Is not allowed to vlog about anything which goes on inside the detention facility. He will live on the national stipend of 3 meals at 70 pesos a day. That's for all 3 meals.
Well, life is no picnic at Bicutan, and we're going to talk about this. Battaglia is there now. There was a British guy just recently doing a little piece on life at Bicutan, and shows everybody how hot and sweltery it is. He had water just dripping off his chin, just sitting there talking, and fans could only do so much. Now, some facts about Bicutan, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and so forth. Looks like we only got a few people in here. I could keep this show on. I'll see if anybody else shows up on here at this time of the day. I don't know. Probably not doing a live stream at an appropriate time of day, considering a lot of my viewers don't actually live in the Philippines. But we're going to talk about something here with my research and what I've seen. It's not a good situation. And I'm going to have some opinions about this. I'm going to have some opinions. All right, build it and they shall come. We got 5 in here. Okay. All right, we got more coming in here. This is a special show today. I did one this morning, kind of interesting, but this is a special show. I'm going to be discussing life at Bicutan and what Barry Jordan is going through, and either to talk about the fairness of it, you might want to question, and what his situation basically is based on current information. So I'm not going to wait for a shitload of people to show up, because you could hear my broadcast afterwards, I guess. To start with, Mr. Jordan got himself in there not because of a court conviction to get him in there, but rather oddly, well, not oddly, they were going to renovate his current detention center situation. and they had to put him somewhere. But yes, Barry was so much better in his detention center. Hello, Pads. Just some serious talk we got going on here, some really serious talk. Now, you never see me coming to defense of Barry. It is 1 week, isn't it? But I'll tell you what, I have a soft spot, just a small one. Just a small one. And I said small, okay. But I don't agree to the living situations in this establishment at all. Neither I or you want to be in there. Let's get that first and foremost. Do's and don'ts or privileges. He's only able to use his phone to talk to his lawyer and a family member in limited use. There would be no YouTube shows on here. He would be going against violations. It'll be violations. You are allowed, they give you 3 meals a day, and I think they charge you for it, like $1.75 American money for 3 meals. He cannot order from Grab from online orders. You can have outside people bring you food under a little bit of scrutiny. They have to examine what it is, the content, and so forth. Yes, you could have prescription medications by certainly a letter from your doctor or whatever. You could even have some vitamins. They have to check them out, but that's under a little bit of scrutiny. But the meals served every day are not up to nutritional needs whatsoever. And that's why you'll see a lot of people that look pretty emaciated in there. It is so hot there right now that it's unbearable for the average person to be able to withstand that. And some people don't. Some people don't. It says that you are allowed medical attention, but whether you get it or not is another story. Now, we're talking about heat in there that could equivalent and probably get higher than that. If you want to do the heat index and all that stuff, you could say 107 degrees. If it's at 36 Celsius, that's somewhere with the heat index about 107 Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot and sweaty. It's horrible. The conditions are horrible. You can't even trust the drinking water from the faucet. Now, they do have a sort of commissary there, which contains very limited food, crackers, cookies, chips, bottled water, stuff like that. It's very limited. And on top of that, it's not very healthy. It would be hard to stay healthy in such an environment. Not only considering the heat factors, considering the conditions. Now, Vitaly, the Russian guy, is probably having an extremely hard time. It's not what he expected. And the word got out about this guy too, as word does get out in there, which can make his conditions even worse than he would ever expect. I was watching a recent video, very recent, because Vitaly is in there now, and this, I don't know, British accent guy came there to see the facilities. And while he's shown these horrible conditions there, he was emphasizing just how sweaty he got. Very little walking around, sweat was coming off his face, dripping off his chin. Okay, why do I mention all of this? You know, the so-called do-gooders out there who supposedly supported Barry. Here's what's really going on by my sources. Now, generally, the rules are only family members can come and visit you there. Although I've read different, but I don't know. I think they are limiting people who can come and visit. And yes, they can bring food. But they're obviously not going to do this every day. And I think they only allow visitors so often. So he will have to rely on the rice and vegetables and occasional fish, neither of which Barry likes. That's punishment enough on nutrition. No Oreos. Well, he could buy Oreos. They have a dispensary that you could buy food from, but how long can his money last? He currently has obligations that amount to as much as 750,000 pesos going on right now before he can get out. Unless there's other rulings in there that says no matter what he owes, they can get him deported. There's possibilities of that, but I'm really doubting that. I'm highly doubting that. The conditions there are so horrible. Here's what I think is actually going on. You've heard the high roaders say pretty much that they're kind of not giving Barry any money, and I'm not buying it. What's going on is they're giving Barry's girlfriend money, and you know who they are. They're giving Barry's girlfriend money. She, in turn, is maybe putting it in his Gcash account. But the funny thing is that, well, okay, well, I don't know. Barry doesn't have access to his bank account or something. I don't know. That he would have to depend on Gcash to be able to buy these extra items from the little commissary. So despite people saying that Barry's not getting any help, I'm not buying the story. Because although they do not, and they don't trust him, and they don't want to send money directly to him, they're definitely sending money to his girlfriend. That's for sure. I know it as a fact. And don't tell me how I know. I just do. She gets the money and in turn puts it in his Gcash account, which he could use for that commissary, whatever you want to call it there. Okay. He will wear a yellow t-shirt. That's his dressing. That's his attire. And probably sharing a cell with at least 40 other people. It is a horrible situation, for sure, for Barry. It was not something I expected until maybe the end of the court hearings, the court trial. But since we settled this matter in a different way, it still had really bad consequences for him because he had to be put into Bicutan anyway. And there's a question. Does Barry deserve to be living in conditions like this? It's a very delicate question, really. And that some people, opinions will vary. Barry has done a lot of bad shit. I mean, bad shit. I mean, really bad shit for 10 years while being in this country. He really has. And this was not even noted on his trial. This is outside of what his trial was about. If everything was included in there, he would have gotten a lot of time if I didn't intervene on this, which I did, me and my lawyer. So we agreed on this. Now, the Bicutan thing, well, and initially was unexpected for him. Although he was told that he would have to leave that place. So he couldn't do anything on this. He really couldn't. So he winds up in Bicutan after all. Now, as I said, Bicutan is no picnic. You got only the strong survive in this place. And you damn well better be friendly and cordial to everybody because it will not pay off in the end. It will not pay off. Be sociable if that's who you are. Don't get into trouble. It's a hard situation, man. I think it's a bad call by Eric bringing litigation on you. You and Gilda go to bitter end. You'll make mince of Eric. Well, we're not talking about Eric and his allegations of cases against me. Okay, that's not what this is about. So the research I've done on that place, and it's really interesting. I found an interesting application that gives so much information. It's so much better than Google. And the information I got from this application, if you want to call it, is incredible. Finding out things I never knew. First of all, I'm going to ask my audience, who is John Smith? Do you know any vlogger or any individual by the name of John Smith? John Smith. And do you know a man who makes a living by making swords under the name of Michael something or other? I don't have it in front of me. Either one, if you have any information on that, I'd be curious to know. The funny thing on Shaw's complaint to deportation that the author is really a guy named John Smith who's behind that. Now, how is that possible? John Smith is a very generic name, like John Doe, John Smith, you know, whatever. Why does John Smith's name come up on this? That's an interesting point. Anybody wants to share? You're the last man I'd want bringing litigation on me. Well, in a sense, you're fighting for your life. I mean, what are you going to do? Sit back and take the abuse? I'm not that person. I'm not that person. John Smith, folks. John Smith. Think about that name. There's also a hint that one of the people behind the Frank Battaglia replay show is a guy named Michael something. He makes swords. Can you correlate this in any way? Who actually has a YouTube channel. And it's a really weird complete name. It's Michael something, something, something. It's just weird. I don't have it in front of me. That actually might be behind, or one of the people behind, the Frank Battaglia replays. SSI benefits will stop after your first month in jail, not to continue until you are released. Those are disability benefits. How about regular Social Security benefits? They're not touched. They're not touched. Anyway, the conditions in there, and many people argue and say, does Barry Lee Jordan, and I haven't been really making him a topic here directly, do people feel that Barry Lee Jordan deserves where he's in, considering the conditions? Now, this is coming from me, not some troll. Does Barry deserve that? Yeah, no, regular Social Security you should get. I don't think there's a problem. That's deposited in your bank account in your native country. Well, at least what I do anyway. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's so. Okay, the high roaders are kicking dirt in Barry's face. That's very clear. But they're helping his girlfriend out, or ex-girlfriend, whatever you want to call her now, because it's a done deal on that, no matter how you look at it. Pen pals, yeah, in the future when he gets out, but we don't see a future in that for good reason. So she thought she was getting a win on me by filing a deportation case on me, but what's going to basically happen to her? Well, take a wild guess. She won't be able to make a trip to see Barry, and Barry won't be able to make a trip to see her. They're not going to get together in Asia. That's not going to happen. She's not going to be able to leave and go where he is. So her deportation complaint against me has actually already worked against her. And I knew there was going to be, repercussions, whether they're legal or otherwise, or just faith itself, But this is how it kind of panned out. By trying to help Barry, she destroyed her own relationship by listening to him and complying with his demands to put a case together against me in regards to retaliation. So now she's not in the driver's seat, if you want to look at it that way, in regards to a continued relationship with Mr. Barry Lee Jordan. That is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Eric's wife had him on run. God help him when you get going in the litigation ring. Had him on run. God help. And, Barry's suffering. There's no question about that. There's no question. I do research. I know the temperature over there, believe me. I've seen the conditions, current conditions. I see what they go through. Yeah, I can understand being very bitter about being in a place like that, because I would be. But something like that happened to me, I wouldn't care anymore. There would be repercussions, whoever put me in there, that I wouldn't care about anymore. I wouldn't care about anymore. Because I might be so bitter that somebody's going to have to pay, and I'll find out who has to pay for such a thing. Now, keep in mind, I did not put Barry in Bicutan. That was a decision made by the Department of Immigration, the Bureau of Immigration, to put him on that hot shelf in Bicutan because of the upcoming renovation to facilities that he was living in. Okay. Frisbee should sell cigarettes to jail makes. 1 peso a stick, only needs to sell 500 to pay off the 500K. Well, look, I'm being as decent as I can, okay, in this situation, considering the shit he's done to me. But, you know, does Barry deserve being in Bicutan? And it had a strange turn of events where he was hoping to get, like the slap on the wrist and a release. And it didn't exactly turn out that way. He did get fined by the regional trial court to them and damages to me. And then in consideration, he has a lot of immigration fees to pay off and penalties at 500 pesos a day is about 15,000 pesos a month. Still currently, he's not paid off. And he's not making any contribution to that at all. So he has an endless need for money, which I do not think is going to be satisfied by the high roaders or anybody, because it's a constant buildup and it's a constant need. Yes, he does get his Social Security check for now, but that will run out, I guess, when they get word that he's in a jail or prison. I don't know how totally that works, but this is the word on the street anyway. So it's a really bad situation. He can't even order out on his application on Grab to get some more nourishable food. Not that he ever eats nourishable food to begin with, but he's not going to get it on Grab. He can get food from outside sources, a local restaurant outside. He could have a relative come over, buy him something. But who's going to come over there? He has no relatives there. Although I've heard hints that maybe friends could, or has general visitors now and then. And I don't even think that's true, but I heard it has to be a relative, someone related to him. That makes his options even worse. Even worse. Pat says, my friend told me it is pushing 95 degrees every day now in Manila, at least 100 in the prison. Well, you got to put in the what do you call that, heat index thing? Has humidity and heat. The other day it was 36, and it's like, I don't know, 107 Fahrenheit, what it feels like. No, it's not pleasant. And Vitaly is finding out. If everybody deserves to be there, Vitaly certainly does. What a creep he is. Does Barry deserve to be there is the question. What is your poll? I'm going to ask you on a poll. 1 for yes, 2 for no, and possibly why. Does Barry deserve to be in Bicutan? And be very honest about it. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And we'll await the results on that. There's 26 people, that's not including myself. Pad says 1. Okay, that's a good start. Pad says 1. Anybody else want to comment on this? Do you think Barry deserves to be in Bicutan? 1, he needs to learn a big lesson. We got 2 1s so far. Please hone in on this, folks, because it's an interesting survey. Yeah. I have a soft part of me, and I know you don't think I do, but I do. But I'm still leaning toward, considering they say, well, it was just words they said to Frank. I'm sorry, but it goes a lot deeper than just words. It's what he said, but the difference is, you ever get pissed at somebody and say something? I've said a lot of things on here on YouTube, haven't I? But the difference is, between me and Barry, you don't come on here every single live show, call somebody a fucking sexual predator, a chomo, a child molester, a child predator, a pedophile. No, you don't do that. He did that nonstop, even when the charges were on him, which means he didn't learn, that he didn't want to learn. Well, maybe this will be a lesson for him. Whether it's only a couple of weeks in there, a couple of months, or whatever it might be, I'll be satisfied with it. Even though the judge did not give him a prison sentence, but that had to do, and I know nobody wants to believe it, but that had to do with me negotiating with my two attorneys to put an end to this financially, time involved, and the hoped for outcome, which could have gone either way. But in light, after I would have done a testimony, yeah, it would have been more likely that Barry would have gotten a prison sentence after all. Mr. Aistarahi, I keep remembering when he was in Walball at Cliffs acting like his shit don't stink and he was better than everyone. Yeah, look, come on, how about the numbers here? Let's come on, number 1 or 2. I think of all that. I think of all the people that he actually really hurt and took money from. And he did. I could understand nobody wanting to donate to him. Hey, as much as I like you to donate to him, because don't forget, I benefit by a cool $250,000 pesos from this. I will benefit from this, okay? Sure, that's not going to pay all my court fees I had, with the lawyer, but that's okay. I didn't expect complete resolve on this. But I'm not desperate where I need is $250K. So it's working out that way anyway. It's really strange how this works. I mean, act of fate. He's never going to go to Bicutan, he said. And he could have, by the judge's decision, by the end of this court hearing, if we had decided to continue all the way to the end. And he could have gotten a prison sentence. But as it turns out, Barry got his wishes, at least in the fact that he wanted to just get fined. Okay, they figured he paid the fees and they let him free like a swallow. Let him go out of his cage and go make his way to Capistrano. But it didn't work that way for him. They had to get him out of the detention center and they wound up putting him in Bicutan after all. That was a strange turn of events on that. A very strange turn of events. I'll admit it myself. So, I'm just going to say the consensus of opinion is that people feel that being in Bicutan is going to be a learning lesson for him. Come on, folks, I'm going to tell you something right up front. None of us are innocent on YouTube, including me, including you, the commenters, and everybody else, including the high roaders, everybody else. Nobody is innocent on YouTube. However, there's a big difference between what Barry did. I'm not talking about somebody sending rice or telling us a rice fest going over here and it's free money. That was just corny. It was stupid. It was kind of bad to the Filipino people. It was very disrespectful. We're talking about a man who really tried to destroy somebody's character to the worst ever possibility that you can do. And there's a lot of naysayers out there that say, oh, it's only names. Well, look, we've been through this discussion before, and I'm not going to dwell on it. You know the score on that. You know it was wrong. And if you want to make me the bad guy on this, then you make me the bad guy. Sure, I've called Barry some names, that's for damn sure, but deserved names and very factual names and everything else, having to do with what he's actually done and seen on his shows and what he's done outside of YouTube. That's a fact that we all know. Now, to say that I'm the guy with the black hat is not really a fair statement. Oh, cats. I gotta put some stuff here in the washer, if you don't mind. That's not really a fair statement. Every one of these goobers on here, and we're talking every one of them, the high roaders and everybody else, they're all guilty of something. They all are. So suppose we put them all in prison. We'll put a case on all of them. Why don't we just do that? Let's be real about this, okay? A lot of YouTubers are not going to like other YouTubers. But it's more of a kind of a thing where they want to be part of the boys club, the bigger picture. They want to get the attention and be noticed. And they achieve this in many different ways of trying to achieve that. Okay? I want to make sure I'm in a dead spot here. Share with your audience. I don't know what this is all about. I didn't hit anything on here. A man, past 46 says a man with a 14-year-old brain, the way he talks is dumber than a rock. Uh, it's going. We're having a big discussion here about the reason Barry's in jail, how he got there, the fluke of incidences happening to get him in Bicutan after all, even though we had agreed with my lawyers that we would just, you know, basically allow him to get a fine and whatever the judge wants to do about it, just to kind of put an end to the crap. It's been going on for a long time. That I put on this, it's really not that. It's the time spent on it. It's the time where I want to move on with the court issues with Barry Lee Jordan. Okay? And as it turned out, he winds up in Bicutan after all, and the living conditions are absolutely horrific. So the question was to my viewers, if he just came in, does Barry deserve to be in these living conditions? Well, the best answer to that, in part, is nobody really deserves to be in this inhumane living conditions as such. Nobody. That includes Barry. Although people say different, but I think it's good that Barry gets to experience it. He's not going to be in there forever, but as long as he doesn't pay, he's going to be in there for a long time, as far as I could see it. Nobody does. As much as I don't like the guy, people think I don't have a fucking heart on here, but that's not true. Barry had a bad family situation growing up. It made him very bitter. The abuse from his father. No, please don't get me wrong. I'm not making an excuse out of that situation for him. He's a grown-ass man that needs to get his act together. Just like that Battaglia guy needs to get his act together, and now he's in big trouble, worse than Barry. Worse than Barry. Okay. I just want to get this all straight on here today. Then we don't have to mention anything about his case anymore, because his case is over. But I've done some extensive reading today, this morning. An interesting application. It gave me all kinds of information. Very interesting. Actually, it's Gemini. Really interesting. And it really gives you detailed information about a lot of shit. You'd be surprised. Not everything, but it's better than Google. Really. Now, the conditions in that place. Now, my understanding is that, no, he's not going to have all these amenities. He's probably sweating his ass off. Totally sweating his ass off. It's inhumane. Now, of course, if you got a lot of money, you could pay off trustees, you could pay off guards. Shit, you got enough money, you could even get an air-conditioned little corner somewhere. That's the truth. You can get special privileges, special food. But in general, the general population in there, it's horrific. And that's coming from me. It's horrific. Yeah. Yeah, he's looking, Judge Dredd, yeah. Battaglia is looking at some serious jail time. When the president of the Philippines actually came in on this, you know, he's going to make a statement for this guy. He's going to make an example of him. But Battaglia absolutely deserves it. No, Battaglia will be in there longer than Barry. But I don't know. You see, the high roaders, I've coined a phrase on here, and they like that entitlement, so I'll continue with the high roaders. You know who they are. We don't have to give them credit for their names and give them exposure. You know who they are. All trying to free Barry J, but then they kicked the mud in his face is what they did. They kicked the mud in his face because they're more, apt to want to go to the needs of a female. In other words, meaning his girlfriend. So they're going to favor his soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, and they're probably sending her money to put into his GCash account. Meanwhile, he has money in the bank. I don't know how he has access to it, or maybe he doesn't. He has a nice little treasure chest of money that he saved the past 2 years. There's no question about that. How do you think he was getting his grab food? You think it's magic? There's no magic in this detention cell. And there wasn't the kind of donations coming in to support him ordering expensive grab meals. There was no way that he was getting these meals unless it came out of his Social Security money that he lied to everybody about for the fifth time, constantly. Because when his lips are moving, you know what goes on from there, right? We've established that. Okay, let's see. And Mr. I think there are bigger fish to fry. Yeah. Yeah, speaking of fish, wet, soggy rice and vegetables, neither of which Barry really likes. And occasionally throw fish in, and Barry's no fan of fish. Okay. Horrible, horrible situations. But the high roaders are not helping him. And the only reason they're not helping him, because they're more interested in his girlfriend. She's a female than they are in a male. That just goes with the territory. And because if they help Barry out, I'm getting helped out. Because he owes me a lot of money. That's in part why they're not helping Barry out. Judge Dredd says Barry was lying to his subs, hoping CW was going to pay Frank. Barry lied to everybody for 10 fucking years, man. 10 fucking years. And forget my French, I don't give a fuck. He lied to every one of y'all. Everyone. Even to his family. Esther says Sentai mastered living with on 120 pesos a day. I don't know about that, but he's a working man now. His girlfriend or wife is going to be coming out to America and live their life in America. I knew that was going to happen. Duh, you know. He ain't going back to the Philippines when he's got a job because he's got to make up for Social Security. How many years did he live in the Philippines? That could have been working days. And I think that, you know, I think he was on a mental disability or something. I had a talk with Sentai when he visited me at the condo. He was trying to get all this dirt out of me to make me look bad, but it didn't work. You remember that one? Where he admitted he had nothing on me at all. And while he was drunk, we talked out on the deck. And, you know, he talked about he had a bad childhood growing up, too. He had a lot of anxiety himself. He was kind of a sort of a partial recluse. That's why he took the model building and his mind just went off into tangents with the cosplay and he'd become all these characters. Everybody's got a psychological profile on here. The high roaders, everybody. They all got a psychological profile on here. Renzio said he was living in $200 a month his last year in the Philippines. Nah, I don't see how that's even possible. His girlfriend had to go to work. She got tired of it. The guy was drinking her out of her money with his Red Horse. He'd get up in the morning and have Red Horse, man. It was pretty bad. Parabon says, I live on 1,530 USD, family of 4. And that's the basics. Yeah, I'm kind of around your area myself. His rent was only $75. I mean, the whole time I was living out here, it was never a lot of money on my Social Security. We always got by, and we even had a couple of bucks to put in the bank. We always got by. We still do, but then, you know, we also have a little bit of backup money, though. That's the difference. A lot of these people don't have that. But true wise investing and stuff like that, not a fortune or nothing, but it would be considered quite a bit to the average bloke that comes into the Philippines and decides to live here unless they were in business and they had a lot of money. You know, I'm not going to give you the figure. That's quite personal. I might have even mentioned it not too long ago. Or what I have in the bank, and it doesn't include what my girlfriend has. It's substantial if you think about it certainly in peso terms and all that. Yeah, but I'm not going to give out all that information on here. You guys are wonderful researchers. You should know everything I have in my bank account and how often I wipe my ass. I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you anything because you guys know everything, right? Well, a lot of you guys think you know everything. Well, the trolls do, but they're so wrong. They're so absolutely wrong. Anyway, Parabola, I lived in 8,000 peso a month. It was just above good enough. When I was renting, it was about 13,000 pesos a month. Yeah, it wasn't a bad place. I mean, the landlord try to get her to fix something here and there. I'd have to wind up going half on her to get anything done. But there's a lot of YouTubers, or rather expats, rather, that Steve, Philippines Information Channel, and other people like himself, and some other guys on here that have actually put quite a bit of thousands of pesos into their rentals, which I think is ridiculous. But unless they really liked the place, they wanted to live there, well, of course, the landlord is going to allow you to, you know, fix their place that doesn't have any money out of their pocket. I mean, logically, of course, that's going to happen. But if you like the place and location, you might be willing to do that for your own comfort. For your own comfort. I could see that. I could understand that to a point. It's quite different than landlords in America. And I was a damn good landlord, no matter what anybody says. Something broke down. I was Johnny on the spot in replacing it. I was. You need this room painted? Here you go. Just let me know what you need. Refrigerator working okay? Good. Okay, if it's not, I replaced it. Stove didn't work, I replaced the stove. I did that because it was my responsibility as a landlord. I did all that because prior to ever owning property, I was always a renter, as my parents were all their lives. I was always a renter for the most part. And I knew dealing with some unruly landlords that didn't want to do shit. They didn't care. You don't like it, go find another place to rent, which is basically their point of view on all this. Oh, really? You had a landlord of 7 units? Unless you have a property management man, I wouldn't even do that. I'd never do that again, ever. I'd never do that again. I don't want to be a landlord. I'm too old for that shit anyway. The problem is what they were wanting to charge in Hawaii. It's unfortunate. My brother was an in-between on this, and while I wasn't there, he had to be the middleman and all this stress and tension going on with the existing tenants before I left, and it was kind of hard on him. But I had to deal with it long distance. That wasn't easy either. So I had a guy more local that he wasn't going to do anything anyways. I stopped paying him. I was going to give him $100 a month just to check in and this and that, and give his number out if they need something to call him, and he'll let me know and all that shit. That didn't work out because this guy wasn't doing shit except sitting around smoking his pot, probably using my money to buy it. Then I went to an agency and they wanted 30% or something. They had a high percentage of what they wanted from the rent and all that shit. I said, fuck that. So, I had to handle this long distance, and it was very difficult for me to do that. Yeah, very difficult being a long distance landlord. It's very difficult. And then, tenants seem to have more rights than the owners of the property anyway. It's not a very palatable situation, a very workable situation that won't bring stress at some point or another. Because you will get tenants that do this as a living. They purposely don't pay their rent for 4 months, which happened with mine, and it just went downhill from there. And I won't even go into that. It's been such a big topic of discussion, and everybody had their own opinion about it, which was all false, of course. But nevertheless, we're not talking about that. But just to mention, now getting back to Bicutan, yeah, it's a fucking horrible place. It's a fucking horrible place. And people the consensus seems to believe that he should be in there, even though the judge did not sentence him to be in Bicutan, as unusual circumstances came forward in the timing that they were going to, remodel this detention center, which was basically a palace to him, no matter what shape it was in compared to Bicutan. There's no question about that. He was able to have visitors whenever he wanted. Food delivered from Grab, people bringing in food. He even got booze in there. He had contraband in there, man. He was drinking away, having a good old time. So comparatively, Bicutan versus his detention center in Mandawi, there's a huge difference. It's like from the frying pan into the actual fire. almost literally. Not a good situation. Oh, is this the Mike guy? Is this the Mike guy? Mike, what correlation do you have with Barry J, may I ask you? This guy's name was mentioned as possibly being one of the people behind the Frank Battaglia replays. I think it's the guy that just put his word in here. Mike Swordsmith. This guy, Michael. Now, where did I hear that, Michael? I'm not going to tell. This guy could be involved with the Frank Battaglia replays. What do you say to that, Mr. Michael Swordsmith? Share with us. Do share. If you want to share. You'd be surprised with information I find out. The Sword, the original high roller. Okay. You familiar with this guy? Well, he's a very interesting player in all this. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, my Scott Del Fuego likes swords. That's all you have to say, Mr. Swordsmith? You don't take any responsibility for the Frank Battaglia replays? Yes or no? Like you're going to give me the right answer. You don't have some correlation with this? Judge Dredd said, you notice, Roberto, they're very quiet. Well, as I said, he could be dead, could have Alzheimer's. I don't know, a lot of rumors spreading. But there has to be a reason why he's not on, because nothing would stop Roberto from being on. And if anybody knows anything about this, Aloe and Popeye and that sort, and they would probably know. Mick Fisher came in on that one time and said, no, he talked to Roberto. It was a couple of months ago, whatever it was, said that he's taken a year off YouTube. It's been a lot longer than that. So I'm not buying that information at all. I just made this name to get your attention. Okay. Okay. Once you might as well turn that AC on in here if I'm going to. I only going to be about another 10 to 15 minutes on here. Yeah, put it on lower. They go to the other room that's already air conditioned. Yeah, it's a hot one already out there today, folks. It is absolutely April. That is for sure. Parabola says, and Mr. Isto, yeah, I keep a weekly account of all money and over a year for the last 3 years. It's seriously $2,500 includes everything, my health insurance to the toothpicks. Anyway, so you guys could have indicated a number one, meaning yes, that you think it's proper where he is, and I didn't get a complete scope of or your opinions of whether he should be in there or not, and suffer the consequences. And I've had 3 people at least respond to that, all with a number one, meaning yes, including mine. I'm going to put that in number one after I consider all. That would be 4. And anybody else wants to put a number one in there that did not vote on this, it's your chance to put it on there. The question is, does Barry Lee Jordan, does he deserve to be in Bicutan, whether it was planned by a judge or whether it was a consideration for the Department of Immigration to remove him from the prison facility and have to put him somewhere else? Parabola says, Frank, you need these every day, midday with Frank. No, we don't. Parabola says it would be nice a nice heat relief in midday. Judge Dredd says, how many Filipinos in the cell? I don't really know, but there are Filipinos there too. A lot of Chinese. They just arrested another big fucking chunk of pogo workers, man. The immigration has their hands full. They have their hands full, very full. I don't think he's having a marvelous time here, I could tell you that, by the heat and sweat. I just watched somebody's video. I don't know who the hell it was. And this guy, just recently, since Vitaly's in there, went to visit to see the living conditions that Vitaly is going to suffer in there. It wasn't about Barry, but it's the same thing because it is that same facility. So Barry probably shaking hands with the guy, say, hey, we got a lot in common, bud. Let's be friends. I'm sure that's happened. Kiss each other's little sweaty asses. Yeah, well, Barry will lose weight. There's no doubt about that. He can't eat the fish, so he'll have to learn to. And the rice. I could eat rice. I don't like it, but, you know, I like vegetables. I could survive. But the truth is, in a situation like that, you probably are going to need some outside sources to get some food, whether you have to pay a guard, give him a couple of pesos extra. Can you go to that local restaurant, buy me a, I don't know, whatever. It may not be the healthiest, but get me some beef. You know, get me a burger or something, or whatever, or get me some fresh fruit or something like that. You know, you could probably, I know you could do that. Do you have the money to do that on an everyday basis? Probably not. I mean, would I? Well, I'd be reluctant to spend like that every single day. I have other obligations, but if you have to do something, you have to do it, you know. Judge says Barry might need to learn to speak Chinese after all. Yeah. Hot and sweltering, and right here on the island, it's very hot. And we try not to do any activities during midday because it really is challenging. Even if you do hydrate yourself, it's still very challenging. It raises your blood pressure, your pulse, that heat. Your body's only meant for a certain degree, normality, 98.6. And anytime you go over that, your body's under a lot of stress. You can get a stroke. Although I've seen people that are incredible. They run in midday on a beach in mid-heat. I don't know how they do it. They're like incredible people. Incredible people. I would not chance doing that. That's just me, but I'm older too. I'm not the young stud that I used to be. That's a long time ago. I do know my limitations. Barry will be playing swords with the pogos. Oh my God. And there comes Heminger, of course. My temperature is 99.9. I'm hot-blooded. Can't you see? I got a fever of 103. Hot-blooded. Hot-blooded. Well, it's one thing to be hot-blooded naturally, but to have to suffer the swords and you know, all the travesty of being in an uncontrolled environment where you find it almost completely difficult to cool your body down. It's not like there's a pool there you could jump in. You know, you're just drowning in your own sweat, and you're losing all these electrolytes constantly, which is not going to help your health. You could even faint and get, you know, heat stroke and so forth. And if you don't have enough proper nutrition, your immune system is going to fail from there. So it's a horrible thing to be in a place like this. Yeah. He needs his ice machine. Well, he don't have that anymore. Hamish says, word is Kev is not in the immigration system. For whatever reason, he can't just fly. Well, he overstayed again. And he kind of read wrong his paperwork or something, apparently, when he was leaving Vietnam. Apparently, Vietnam didn't work out for him. Actually, Thailand originally didn't work out for him. They all set to move to Vietnam. He went there, and he was failing over and over again there, too. So he decided to, you know, leave Vietnam, but had some problems and some setbacks, and he should have done this earlier. And he was considered an overstayer, had to pay a few fines and fees. I guess he got it all taken care of, but I still think that's on his records. That's his second overstay. It still goes on record no matter what. And he doesn't know what he's doing with himself, all honesty, folks. And we're not attacking Big Kevin here at all. We're just talking about him, that you brought it up. And I don't think Big Kevin knows what he's doing, really. And he's just counting on the occasional meetings with other YouTubers that might be living in the area. It's so hot out there, too, that basically Kevin's still a big guy. He's not the healthiest, and he could not survive during the day going to things. He doesn't go anywhere, really. Stores, whatever. He does not go to any beaches around there. When has Kevin ever done that? So he stays in his air-conditioned unit like a lot of us retirees actually do, and watches TV or watches something on YouTube or something. His life is not full of high times and all that shit. You know, it's not like that for Kevin at all. He's very limited on women he could get together with, and unfortunately for Kevin, he has to ring the bell. And look, when you're lonely, man. We talk about this on my show a lot. When you're lonely, man. It's a serious thing, and Kevin's lonely. We don't hold that against Kevin. We don't hold that against him at all, and I'm not holding that against him. I know he's a very lonely man. The likeliness of him getting a real girlfriend that's interested in him and not for his money is unlikely. So he has to play the game. No matter what he says, he's still going to hang at the bars. No matter what he said to all the high rollers, he's still going to be giving drinks for women just to have companionship, because you can't live alone in your small apartment. You can't do that. And then sit around all fucking day with no activity, because he doesn't walk the best either. And he's not going to walk in the hot sun all day and go to events. It's just not going to happen. I make my own assessment of these characters based on what I see and hear and everything else, okay? I know that's what's going on with him. He should have stayed in America. He's always having financial problems. I don't understand how for what he collects every month. I don't understand it. Unless he's just flying this money for companionship out of his hand. I don't understand why. And he's still begging for donations all the time, like he has no money. But people were getting a little reluctant to help him at times because, same thing as Barry, because what does he do with his money? Then he complains that he'll do something stupid like ring bells in a bar. But what do you think is going to happen when you ring a bell? Ringy, one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy? Mick Smith says, Frisbee thinks he can pay you. Well, no, don't work that way. When he's back in the USA, Goober wants to pay you $20 installments a month. Yeah, I heard that too. That's not going to happen. Mr. Istarahi says, no one needs a girlfriend more than Kevin. Maybe a 50-year-old Thai lady who owns a laundromat. Mrs. Hemminger says, nah, Kev should stay single. He may not have any choice. And look, we're not ragging. I never go, oh, now he's ragging on Kevin. No, I'm not ragging on Kevin. I'm not actually ragging on Kevin. I'm actually an advocate in a certain way. His loneliness. I think I understand what he's going through in that situation. I think he should have stayed in his aunt's basement. He got to go to his church, had all the amenities of living in America, could get to use his Medicare and all that. I think he was better off staying there. It's just not going to work out. Laundromat? Maybe a restaurant would be a better pick, said AJ. Hello, Anthony. We've had quite a long show here. Well, it's not even an hour yet, but we're not going to stay on too much longer. I still have a few things I need to do, but it doesn't involve going out in the heat either. Yeah. So this whole thing has been really interesting. We got to know who the high rollers are, and they become low rollers, but unless you got a fucking vagina between your legs, they're not going to help you. We've all established that, haven't we, folks? Haven't we? They're not interested in helping Barry. These are scumbags. They're really scumbags. I mean, look, not that Barry doesn't deserve a lot of this shit, but... Oh, wait, is Frank leaking his heart out right now? Not really. But he was made so many promises by people that they didn't keep. And doing things to him. Not that he didn't do anything to anybody else, so maybe he deserves it, yeah, but they went overboard with him. Made promises, a free Barry J and all this shit. Where is he now? He's in Bicutan. Is he getting any help from the high rollers? No, he's not. His girlfriend's getting the help, and what she does with the money, she'll give it to him, put it in his Gcash or something, or his PayPal account. But he's already got money coming in, but how long is that going to be? When his Social Security gets cut off and America finds out that he's actually in a prison, he's going to lose it for real this time. See how karma just hits you in the fucking face? Doesn't it, guys? Doesn't it? Which expat that died are you the most happy about? Look, I'm not really happy about anybody dying. I don't know what the fuck you think I am. I'm not happy about anybody dying. They're in control of their life, their health, and everything else they do. It's not my problem. But if they were very adverse to me, I was just saying I'm not going to shed a tear for them. It's over. Never have a problem with them again. Finish. Finito. I'm not going to shed a tear. At all. And that's not being harsh. No, I don't actually I don't even wish death on Barry. I don't even wish death on him. I don't like Popeye. I don't wish death on him. I can't stand Popeye and all his constituents out there. I can't stomach any of them. Well, I don't necessarily wish death on them by any form or way. Let fate take care of that. Let karma take care of it. Their health, their obesity, whatever it is that's in their way, will take care of itself in time. It always does. It always will be. It'll always happen. It's done for a number of YouTubers so far. They couldn't take care of themselves or wouldn't. Yeah. He could face 24 years, Battaglia. Absolutely. Black Parabola. I don't want to make you angry, but one day, can you tell me... I gotta move down the messages again here. Hold on. One day, can you tell me what actually happened, how it happened, and when it happened? How did this all Barry crap start? Did you know him, socialize with him? No, I'll make it quick. Start with Barry says he was trying to be my friend. He came down with Gigante, unannounced like Brevis would do, right? Showed up. And I seen him on that time, and I seen him on another 2 occasions. He came by with this chick. 2 occasions actually here in Battaglia, unannounced of course. I wasn't trying to socialize with him at all. I treated him nice. I threw 300 pesos in his pocket when he came to visit. When he came with Gigante, slipped it in there. I see him a second time and he decided to impress his girlfriend. Some ugly chick, man, God. He was really abusing her sexually, terribly, terribly. She worked at a laundromat. She got to talk to my girlfriend while me and Barry were outside. Yeah, I won't even go into that, just horrible shit. Then, of course, seen him at TGIF. That was it. No, Barry wasn't trying to be friends with me, as he states, and I kicked him in the ass for trying to be friends with me, and he keeps on saying that the reason is because I saw he was making money and getting attention on YouTube, and I was. It had nothing to do with that. That's Barry's quackery. That's Barry's statements as to why. I had decided from the first time I met Barry that I didn't want him around me or mine. He wasn't the type of person I wanted to hang with. His values, his morality, his low-class lifestyle, his begging, his using people for money. I did not want people like that around me. I hope that answers your question. Then one thing triggered another. He got offended by it, and like Brevis did, and I rejected him, and that was it. The same story, kind of in a different way with 2 of these people anyway. Ricky used me to get an affidavit, to go against Fazio, but then he, threw mud in my face ever since then. Has been continually doing that, even though he shook my hand at SNR, and you've seen that video. You can't trust Ricky. He went right back to doing things. I learned something from Ricky that I'm going to tell my audience someday if he continues to rag on me on his shows, and I'm going to come out with it full strength on what he told me once. I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Zabrowski will remain in prison for 2 to 3 years, during which his trials are expected to last. If found guilty, he'll be sentenced to around 2027 to 2028. Judge Dredd says, Frank, you remember Barry's ex-babes, Mercado? Of course I do. Anthony says, I missed that video. Damn. Oh, Mr. Istarati, Babes was less ugly than Myra. Yeah, well, I'm not going to make judgment on here. Barry's taste and who he's able to get. I could say a whole lot about that, but for legal reasons, I'm not going to say a goddamn thing on here. Yeah. Every time you open your mouth, you get in trouble on here, so you got to watch every word you say on here, because they are listening. They are listening. They are writing and recording and listening, aren't they? This has been a lovely dialogue going on here today, but I got things to do. I'll give it a couple of more minutes here. I gotta start. I gotta start hydrating myself too here. I've been drinking too much water today, actually. So with that being said, it's been a lovely dialogue. I wanted to just do this show today to address some of this shit, and to also say I had nothing to do with Barry being in Bicutan. That was a decision made by Immigration Department. It was not made by me. The decision not to continue this case was made by me and my lawyers. Not that we wouldn't win it. It was a slam dunk. There wasn't a problem. But how long it was going to continue, and there's finances involved in here. Not that I'm broke, but that's not the point. It's just unnecessary money being spent. I figured let the court make their decision on that. And we had agreed 2 weeks prior to the actual court hearing that we would go in this direction, and we knew exactly what his lawyer was going to be asking for. But fortunately, the judge set the terms. Well, we originally set the terms to begin with, okay? It was approximately $50,000 per case. He had actually 5 separate cases with you against it. It's not just one. People think it was one case because it was one court hearing. No, that was 5 cases against him. 5 individual cases, okay? That was conglomerated into one. So he has an obligation of paying me $250,000 pesos. He has an obligation of paying his fines and fees to the courts. He didn't get away with anything. People, the high roaders and all that, to saying that Barry won. My God, that is so far from the truth. I mean, you all know that. I don't have to say that. But it makes them feel better to say that because they don't like me. But it doesn't change what happens. You can't change what happened. Barry isn't Bicutan. He indeed is Bicutan Barry right now. And he might be for a long time if he doesn't raise all that money. And each day that goes by, it's still 500 pesos a day. That's 15,000 a month for his extenuating non-payment of his immigration fees and fines on top of what he already owes. And he's already up to about 750,000 with the court-ordered penalty to the court, RTC, penalty paid to me, and what he existing owes on immigration, and that's adding up all the time. My understanding is that does not stop. So 15,000 a month alone is accruing. So unless somebody really wants to help him out and they got that kind of pocket cash that they can afford to help him, then they'll do it. If they can't, they won't. That means that Barry's going to have to remain there for a long time. And I have nothing to do with that. I think we got all that figured out by now. Noted by cockroaches. Judge Fest says, Frank, any chance you will visit Barry? Why? Why would I do that? I'll wind up in jail, definitely, if I had to go visit him. I can't trust my instincts, I cannot trust. It may all build up on me if I seen him. I mean, it could very well. But I guess it is what it is. Live life day by day and play the odds. You got some legal things going on, you handle it. Meanwhile, you live your day like you normally live it every day. You address different situations as they come, and you deal with them as best as you can. And that's what you do. That's life itself. It pertains to everything else besides just legal matters. Hemminger says the president was watching the video clips, and his comments were, "The guy is crazy. This makes my blood boil. Can I cuss him out?" He reiterated again that they are going to make an example of him. Well, it's the image of the Filipinos, and, this guy, I mean, you're referring to Battaglia, he was pretty bad, man. Same as that Johnny Somali guy. They have no respect at all. It's kind of like Barry, but in spades. Barry had no respect to the law or anybody else that he ever did. He used them for their fucking money. We all know that. It's not an illegal statement at all. Everybody knows what he did. That's why I laughed when Barry was getting the support. The high roaders especially. Well, Barry shouldn't be in detention. Don't you think that's a bit too much, sir? I said, no, I don't. You're not in my shoes, sir. If you were, it might be different. Maybe you wouldn't take a legal route. Maybe you take the matter in your own hands instead of spending money. But I decided to take it the legal route. And there goes the siren. It means I'm off here. It's telling me it is 12 o'clock. We've been on here over an hour. We had a great dialogue. Oh, Frisbee had to carry a knife. The Alabama tick owes people money. He owes everybody money. He owes everybody an apology. He has disrespected everybody, including his donators, even the people he's trying to hit up like Big E and Fisher and all these people that do give in to Barry on the side. They're just not telling you. He may be getting some side money that they're not talking about, the high roads, but most likely you got to have a pussy if you're going to get any money from these guys. Now, if they really want to be the high roaders they are, they will go and pay Barry's nearly a million pesos worth of fees and get him on his merry way back to Alabama, where he belongs, to yet see another court system awaiting him. No matter what they do, if they donate to this guy, it's still going to come out to nothing. He's still going to wind up in big doo-doo trouble. It's one of these things where you just can't win. It's, faith is just against you, man. Karma is just hitting you fucking hard in bad places. You can't win. But he created his own fictional character. But it's not fiction, really. Yeah, he ain't no Russian mafia. Just like I'm Italian, it means I'm mafia. Well, I know mafia people. I did in the past. Doesn't mean I'm mafia. Just because he's Russian doesn't mean he's a Russian mafia. That's stereotyping. Well, I don't know what's happening. All the money he's made from his show, Battaglia, doesn't he got enough money to pay off enough guards or whatever the hell he has to do out there? He'll find a way out. He's a smart guy, I think. All of Barry's subscribers will chip in to bail him out of Bicutan. Well, that hasn't happened so far, has that now, HAG? It hasn't happened, has it at all? How interesting is that? But the high roaders, the high roaders, where the shit don't stink, their only attention is going towards something called vagina. If we don't have a fucking vagina, maybe they like mangina too. I don't know. Maybe they like that too. And I know one guy, no names mentioned, I think probably goes for mangina. No names mentioned. But we got to cut this off. It is noontime. And I got to say hello to the world. You guys have been a scream. You guys have been informative. We've had some good dialogue on here. Nobody can complain about that. Nobody comes to my channel and I don't have dialogue. It's all good. It's all good. Well, for Barry's sake, I hope he does. I mean, you think I'm this cold-hearted motherfucker. You don't know me. On one level, I want to see everything coming to Barry that possibly could happen in light of the situation. And it's not just what he's done to me, but it's what he's done to a lot of people. People should be thanking me for all the shit that he did to people and money he's taken from people. But nobody helped me. Nobody got in there and made some serious reports. Nobody. I had to bear all this on my own shoulders for you people. For you people that wanted him to come to this result. As I said, I'm not the sheriff in town, buds. I'm not a sheriff at all, and I wouldn't want to be. But I do believe in karma, and what comes around goes around. Native Americans are perfectly right. Full circle for some people where it is due. You don't create a villain because hearsay. You don't create a villain on here because somebody said you did something you didn't do. You don't create a villain. A person is not a villain on here because somebody doesn't like you and they want to join a boys club and build their own little hate army against you. It doesn't mean that you're guilty of something. It doesn't mean that you're a villain. But by your own demonstration and not basically using extreme hyperbole on defining somebody's character on here because you don't like them, changing the whole scenario of what the truth is about an individual on here. I've heard things said about me that's never happened in my life. I've heard things on there, people talking on their shows like on Popeye and otherwise, that I never did. I never said. I mean, hell, I got a goddamn complaint against me from Barry's ex, or current, whatever you want to call her, in the status of the situation, where she lied on that report to hurt me, to satisfy her boyfriend. That was uncool. Never threatened that woman. I never called her those names that was claimed. Popeye likes to go into the extreme, that I had a kid sitting on my lap, and no kid has ever sat on my lap. I mean, this is YouTube, man. They're not going to say nice things about you on here. And that's how they spread the word about people on here. Newbies that come in, they hear this, and they're very gullible. Oh, really? Did that guy do that? What a schmuck this guy is. But there are people out there that really do the things that we talk about on here. And those are the people that should be punished. Period. Okay, gotta go. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.
In pop culture. However, based on the search results, here's what we can gather. Frank Battaglia, photographer from Mount Vernon, New York, he graduated with a BFA in Fine Art Photography from the School of Visual Arts. His archival photographs, including those of Little Edie Beale and the Coney Island Polar Bear Club, are held by the New York Historical Society and NYU. This suggests his work has some historical and documentary value and is recognized by these institutions. It did have a connection to the 2009 HBO movie Grey Gardens, but not in a photography credit capacity. According to his IMDb profile, Frank Battaglia is listed in the additional crew section of the movie, specifically as a research assistant. Furthermore, a comment from Frank Battaglia on a blog post about the HBO movie indicates that he settled my biz with HBO, which suggests some form of involvement or compensation related to his photographs of Edith Beale. While his original photographs were not directly used as stills or credited within the cinematography of the HBO movie, his role as a research assistant likely involved providing background information and possibly his photographic documentation of Edith Beale in Grey Gardens, which would have informed the production design and overall feel of the film. Therefore, to answer your question directly, Frank Battaglia did not have photography credits on the Grey Gardens HBO movie, but he was credited as a research assistant. His photographic work likely contributed to the research process of the film. Photographer Frank Battaglia from Mount Vernon, New York, had a direct association with Little Edie Beale from Grey Gardens. He photographed Little Edie in 1979 at Grey Gardens in East Hampton, New York. These photographs are now part of archival collections, including at the New York Historical Society and NYU. Interestingly, one of Frank Battaglia's photographs of Little Edie inspired the costume designer for the HBO movie Grey Gardens, 2009. The designer had access to only a limited number of Little Edie's original swimsuits and used Battaglia's photo as a reference.